Hello! Today we're going to learn how letters se, ese, and zeta work in Spanish. Now let's go. We begin with letter se. Yes, it's pronounced se and not si. This letter can make three sounds. Sound number one is a strong ka sound, like in the words car or cake. This sound happens when the letter se is located before a consonant, except h, before letters a, o, and u, and when it's located at the end of the word. Here are examples of each situation. Crudo, anécdota, clase, carro, copa, cubo, aerobic, bistec, Quebec. I hope it's clear. Now let's see the other two sounds that the letter se can make. I hope you know that Spanish is spoken in many countries, not just Mexico and Spain. This is one of the reasons why people learn it, also girls. There's plenty of variations when it comes to pronunciation depending on which country exactly you're in. But for today's lesson, the only thing you need to know is that globally, when it comes to grammar and some pronunciation differences, Spanish is divided into two categories: Latin American Spanish and Spanish that comes directly from Spain itself. This distinction is very important to know because this will be a crucial point in your identity as a future Spanish-speaking legend. Having said that, when the letter se doesn't fall into the conditions that make it sound like ka, it can make two more sounds. Those are the sound se if you live in Latin America, like in the words center or sun. Basically, it's the same sound that letter s makes in English. But if you live in Spain, this letter makes the sound the, like in the words think or birth. It's the same exact sound as th does in English. Now let's look at a couple of examples. Here are some words that have se in them. You can pause the video and try to pronounce them in both Latin American way and Spanish from Spain way. Now let me try. So if I'm in Latin America, I will say trece, cielo, serra, centro, hacer. And if I'm in Spain, I will say trece, cielo, cerra, centro, hacer. As you can see, those are the two sides of the same coin. So it's entirely a matter of your preference whether you want to go with the sound s or the. We'll talk more about this later. Also, you might have heard the Spanish city Barcelona being called Barcelona. Now I hope you can see why. The only people who would call it like that are either people who come from Spain or Spanish learners who choose the Spanish accent as their preference. But the rest, 99% of peasants like us, prefer not to sound like goddamn snakes. It's time to move to the next letter, which is the letter ese. This one is simple because it works exactly the same way as in English, it just has a different name. In English it's es, but in Spanish it's ese. Here are some examples. Sal, sidra, sobrina, sábado, sombra. Simple, right? Consider it a break. The last letter for today is zeta. Yes, you heard it right. It's zeta and not zeta. In fact, there's no such thing as the sound z or z in Spanish. Now, this letter makes two sounds. Again, depending on where you are. In Latin America, it works the same exact way as the letter s in English or ese in Spanish. And in Spain, it makes this stupid snake sound the. Before you say anything, let's look at some examples. In Latin America, these words would be pronounced zanahoria, sumo, panza, sum, zapato. Meanwhile, people in Spain would say zanahoria, thumo, panza, thum, zapato. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it the same exact sound that letter se makes? Yes, that's exactly the case, except it can never make the sound ka, unlike the letter se. Let me draw you a table to do a quick recap to make sure everything makes sense. When it comes to making any kind of hissing or s sound in Spanish, there are three letters: ese, se, and zeta. The letter ese works the same exact way as we have it in English, regardless of whether we are in Latin America or Spain. And both letters se and zeta make the same sound s in Latin America, and the snake-like Tom Riddle Voldemort monstrosity of a sound the in Spain, as in words think, thought, or through. And don't forget that the letter se can also make the sound ka when it's located before a consonant, except h, before letters a, o, u, and when it's located at the end of the word. So is it weird that, or maybe stupid that all three letters se, ese, and zeta work in almost entirely the same way? I guess, but at the same time it makes it easier because you have less things to worry about. I'll definitely make a video comparison between Spanish spoken in different countries in the future. In general, it's a matter of your preference and what tickles your ears more, as always. It might have sounded like I hate Spanish accent from Spain, but in reality I just live on the North American continent, and here the majority of Spanish learners would prefer the Latin American Spanish. simply because Mexico and Central and South America are just around the corner. But people in European countries would obviously go with the Spanish accent from Spain. It works the same exact way in English, even though I speak closer to the American accent. When I was growing up in the Eastern European cave, I only had access to the British version of the English language. When I grew up, I realized that Harry Potter is not real, and I went to America to search for a better life and Santa Claus. What I'm trying to say is, choose whatever accent you want, and don't let anyone tell you you ain't beautiful. All the materials are in the description. Have a good day.